just in few minutes, what I was trying to say in this about an hour. Did I take about an hour? About an hour also. It's about the significance or importance of fikra, that thought. That the purpose of these gatherings like this, which is organized by Academic Ancestors Fora, is to keep your thoughts alive. And thoughts is very significant in the life of mankind, in the sense that you actually act according to what you think, and therefore your thinking is very important. And that thinking has to be always alive, has to be kept alive, in the sense that you don't acquire a position of thought and remain stagnant. It is just like eating for the purpose of nourishing. We eat to live. So we cannot say we have eaten a lot and stop eating. That means we will just deteriorate and die. So our thought has to always be kept alive in the way of keeping it in line with the time. All right. That's why all the times gatherings like this are very significant in keeping your thought. I was saying that the main task of the movement is to teach the people the Islamic system as an alternative to any other system. Call it anything other than Islamic. Islamic system is all encompassing, is complete and whole, does not require support or peeling, tapping from other thoughts. It is all in itself. But we have been so much attacked, and a war has been waged against our thought, what you might call intellectual warfare, to the extent that, for example, Islam is termed as a religion which is part of a life of man, instead of full life of man is Islam itself. One of the problems is equating Islam with other religions and calling it religion as others, and calling it, a personal affair between man and his God, an individual affair. Nothing to do with running of the life of a society, particularly modern society. All right. That's one thought, which unfortunately some Muslims have absorbed that kind of thought. They think that Islam is part of their life, not the whole of their life. Another is the warfare now being waged in the modern days against Islam by equating it with terrorism and making people to fear it. That, for example, what they now do in Nigeria, surprisingly, they do it in America. They equate Islam and terrorism and Muslims as terrorism. Almost all the terrorists, they now make noise about, they show that they portray them as Muslims. Even though study has shown that I couldn't specify there, but I have read it, that statistics hide it that about 96 of terrorist acts were carried out by non-Muslims. Meaning that all Muslims are terrorists except 96%. Meaning that others are more terrorists than we are, but they always say, well, we do not say that there are no Muslims who are terrorists, but what they are saying is that this has nothing to do with Islam. But they are trying to say Islam is that terrorism. The idea is a sort of intellectual warfare to put a halt to the advancement of Islam, so that the non-Muslims will fear it, and the Muslims will also be put in confinement. They themselves will be put in a way that they think that they have the inferiority feeling in themselves. This is also one of the intellectual warfare, putting inferiority into your own heart. You feel you are inferior. You feel that there's something which is superior. The task ahead of us is to fight this intellectual warfare against us, not only to defend ourselves, but also to intellectually wage war against our enemies. I was saying that a lot of people think that communism just has fallen by circumstances, but that is not true. Actually, Muslim intellectuals wage war against it from its foundation and destroyed it not by weapons, but by intellectual assertions. If you read our economics by Ayatollah Bakr Sadr, you see how he has made a treatise on the root of communism and showed it is just vanity, and showed what is Islamic system of economics. So, of course, I can, as I said, I cannot translate everything I've said, but mainly I have been emphasizing this thing. But it's very important that we keep on having meetings like this, on and on, in order to keep your source alive. Because once you don't keep your source alive, you remain stagnant. And if you become intellectually stagnant, you think differently. And your thought will be diverted in the sense that you will now see things upside down. You start, if you see someone with your own eye and say, oh, why is he working with his hand instead of it? He's working with his, but your eye shows that you are seeing him working with his hand, because there is some problem in your brain, and the eye sees things upside down. Now, when someone thinks that Islam is part of life, is that not part of this thinking? I think upside down. When Islam is the whole life, and then he thinks it is only part of his life, because some of the knots in his brain have been tightened, and some areas thoughts are not allowed to enter. So he starts to see things upside down. To keep things, you have to keep your own thought alive, and this is the purpose of this gatherings like this, which will, inshallah, will continue and try all the time to participate. Already, I've spoken the language which a majority understand, and you maybe if you have someone who understood Hausa language, he might explain some other points which I cannot be able to repeat, inshallah. Wa sallallahu ala Muhammadin wa alihi tayyibin tayyib. Wa salamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.